Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about, are your thoughts really your own? And this is, if somebody would have asked me this question like 3 to 5 years ago, I would have been like, this person's like woo, crazy, whatever. But think about it, right? Like there's been a lot of technological advances in the last 5 years, really not even the last decade, but the last 5 years. And there's a lot of technological advances that aren't even open to the public right now that are operating within, the areas that we live and the places that we exist. And when you think about just what your thoughts are on like a quantum physics level, right? Thoughts are waves, and waves can be turned into particles. They can be manifested into like 3D reality. But when you think about even how phones work and how sending a text message works, right? That is sent as a wave and somebody receives that. And a lot of the technology that we have today is really just a reflection of us, right? Like our bodies are able to receive messages. We're able to feel things. Like we're not just this kind of like bags of flesh walking around, right? We're affected by different frequencies. We're affected by different things around us. We're affected by different waves and particles as well. So again, going back to thoughts, when you think about your thoughts, there have been times, everybody has experienced this, where you've had a thought before, whether it be bad, good, anything, and you're like, where did that come from? Like, why am I thinking like this? Where did this thought even really come from? Like, you might have like an intrusive thought, people like to call it, or OCD. It's like having intrusive thoughts that something bad is going to happen unless you turn around 3 times or touch the door 3 times or do whatever, and as the years have gone by, a lot more people are starting to express like symptoms of intrusive thoughts. And it just makes you think, like, are these thoughts really your own? Like, what if some of the thoughts that you're having that you wouldn't consciously make yourself have are actually thoughts put there by something or someone else? And I've talked about this on my channel before, but there's this man, his name is Jerry Marzinski. He has a podcast, he has a book called Breaking the Ivory Tower, and he used to work with prisoners who were schizophrenic. And, he would go in, he would interview them and diagnose them and try to get them the help that they need. And after doing that for a few years, he was in the field for over 2 decades, but after doing that for a few years, he noticed that a lot of the voices that the prisoners said that they would hear and a lot of the things that they were saying were really similar, and that it didn't matter who they were, where they came from, why they were in prison, the background that they came from, who raised them, if they had parents or not, if they went to school or not. All the voices kind of were saying the same thing. You're worthless, you're nothing, you're trash, nobody loves you, nobody likes you, etc. And he then began to question, how is it possible that so many different people from so many different socioeconomical, ethical, backgrounds are able to have the same negative thoughts over and over? Like, this is more than just this person is having a negative thought. This person is experiencing negative thoughts, and these negative thoughts are seen, like you could see the trend within multiple people, multiple groups. And I won't go into more about his story because it's honestly phenomenal, and I think that you should really look it up. I'll put it in the comments below, his YouTube page and everything, because he actually goes on to discover some pretty amazing things and some things that have helped me in my own journey just with intrusive thoughts and negative thinking. Because when you begin to look at your thoughts from an observational perspective, right? When you begin to think, I'm not my thoughts, I think them, right? When you begin to understand that if you notice that you had a negative thought, or that you're thinking negatively, or that you're thinking about bad things happening, that the act of you noticing that means that you're not the one thinking that, or the act of you being aware means that you're sitting in a position of being the observer, then you begin to understand that many of the things that you think and the thoughts that you have really aren't your own, or many of the things that you think really were given to you and have been conditioned, like you've been conditioned by that. And that's honestly a beautiful, freeing feeling, because then you can begin to do the work to undo the years of conditioning. And then you can begin to understand that if my thoughts are not my own, and if I didn't consciously choose to think about this bad thing or think about this bad thought, then, you go a little bit easier on yourself. You're not as hard on yourself about the things that you think, and you don't think that something's wrong with you. You don't think that you're sick. You don't think that you don't know how to control your mind and yourself. And that's extremely powerful. That's like building the foundation for the first steps of you, like I said, freeing yourself and just being able to take control of your thoughts in your life. And I'm at the point right now where I'm in 2 fields of thought when it comes to thought. And one is, like I just mentioned, the observational aspect of it, to where I am not my thoughts, I think them. And then another one too is understanding that thoughts create energy, and that emotions are just energy in motion. So understanding that despite having these bad thoughts, despite them being mine or maybe not being mine or whatever, I still have to process and let these emotions flow through me so that I don't keep them and that it doesn't stick, if that makes sense, right? Because if you keep avoiding your thoughts, avoiding negative feelings and pushing it down and down and down, eventually you're not going to be able to handle it. And eventually these feelings are going to come back up and they're trying to express themselves. They're trying to create motion and they're trying to release from you, but you keep holding it back and holding on to it because nobody's taught you otherwise, right? We're not taught to be in tune with our emotions. We're not taught to sit with our own thoughts. And I've shared my experience before, I think, on here about just when I did have negative thoughts and my mind was racing once, and normally I would just watch TV or I would distract myself on my phone, and something in my head was just telling me, this was me, by the way, but something in my head was telling me, like, don't do that. Sit with your thoughts, sit with your emotions, be an observer. And it was painful. I was like in the fetal position, crying, like I felt like I couldn't control anything. But on the other side of that I experienced clarity, and I experienced, the feeling of, okay, I can have these thoughts in these really super dark, tough moments and I can come out of it. I didn't die. I didn't lash out. I didn't distract myself. Like it showed me that it's possible to work through these thoughts and not identify with everything that comes into my mind, because you don't have to. You have a choice, and that choice is not something that many people know that they have. And yeah, like I said, it's a beautiful thing, because then you can begin healing and you can begin understanding, really that people create heaven and hell here in this physical realm just based off of their own thoughts, their own frequencies. And I've experienced that, right? And I'll probably experience it again. Not that I'm wishing that on myself, but I understand that there are years and years and years of thoughts and feelings that I've been stuffing down and that I'm now going to bring back up. So I just wanted to make this video to let you know that, you have a choice, and that everything is not as it seems, and every thought that you have is not yours. And I'm not saying that in a scary way or in a way to like make people fear or think that somebody's out to get them, but it's more so in a way to empower you and encourage you, and to show you again that you have that choice, that you can think something or notice a thought and not have to take that in and identify that automatically. So I would love to hear you guys' experiences, with this. Seriously, like, this is a topic that I've talked about with one of my friends after reconnecting with them, but not many people in my life really talk about this stuff or care or know about this stuff. So if you have any input, if you have anything that you want to say, please leave it in a comment below. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear. Thank you guys for watching. We're very close to 100 subscribers, and I'm extremely happy about it. So thank you guys. I love you guys. I hope that you have an amazing new year, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.